Hello everyone, welcome back to Web Wings. I'm Alex, your host, and it's great to be back behind the mic after a little bit of a break. Quite a lot of a break. But if you're a regular listener, you're going to notice that something's different today, and it's just me. My co-host Andy, your friend, well, he's had to step away for a little while, and totally get that. Life happens, we're all busy, so I'm solo for now. Don't worry, he's going to be back soon. And he and I are both still here, digging into the wild, ever-changing world of e-commerce. Help you make sense of it all. Whether you're running a massive operation or just selling a little bit of cool stuff from your sofa on Etsy. Today's episode is something I've been mulling over for a little bit of a while. Why are e-commerce stores so much more boring than they were 10, 15, even 20 years ago? Back in the day, websites were bold, experimental playgrounds. Unique designs, quirky features, stuff that made you go, wow, I've never seen that before. But now, even the biggest brands seem to be happy to just blend in and exist. Follow the same trends, be safe. Whatever happened to standing out? I'm going to have a go at unpacking it. I'd love you to stick around. Think about where your own store, website, online presence fits into this shift. And doubtless I'll sprinkle in a few of my own stories along the way, so feel free to imagine me gesturing wildly as I talk. Let's rewind. Early 2010s, e-commerce still finding its feet-ish. It was a little bit like the Wild West of the internet. Everyone was trying to figure out how to sell online, and that meant taking risks. Websites weren't just stores, they were experiences, and that's what we enjoyed at the time. You'd land on a page. There'd be a spinning 3D product viewer, there'd be a funny animation that popped up when you added something to your cart. Some sites even had bizarre mini games. Click bouncing ball to get 10% off or whatever it was. Well, that was practical, but at least it was fun. It felt like brands were saying, this is us, we're different. We're not afraid to show it. But these days there's an awful lot less of that. There were plenty of examples. For those of you old enough, a site like ThinkGeek, you can look them up if you've got a Wayback Machine. They sold nerdy gadgets, gear, and the whole vibe was sort of a playful, chaotic energy. It wasn't just a shop, it was a love letter to geeks everywhere. But even smaller stores, independent sellers would at least throw in a custom font, a little bit of a funky layout, something to grab your attention. It wasn't perfect, and half the time the checkout process was a nightmare, but it had personality. Felt like you were stepping in someone's world, not just clicking through a template. You weren't just following a process that you've already been through 1,000 times before. I get, that's the point. If we fast forward to 2025, what do we see? If you scroll through the top e-commerce sites today, Amazon, Shopify stores, even big brands like Nike, ASOS, it's all samey. Clean minimalist designs, white backgrounds, grid layouts, a carousel of product images at the top, and add to cart button that's in the same spot. It's efficient, but there's no spark. We've gone from bold and bonkers to beige and boring. And there's probably a few reasons for that. And I'm fully aware that for the majority of my career as e-commerce, whatever, web design, everything has been the same possible lead through to the answer to the question, what do you want your site to look like? Well, I'd like it to look simple like the Apple Store. Fully aware that I say that quite regularly. And here we are with a load of sites with white backgrounds and grid layouts. That's all the product images at the top. Perhaps everybody has just slowly been pushing their web designer to the point they wanted to get to anyway. But thinking about it a little bit more, hopefully with a view to actually understanding why there's still ways that we can inject our personality. Mobile is a great example. 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, most people are still shopping on desktop PCs and laptops. designers had a huge amount of screen space real estate to play with. But now over half of e-commerce traffic is mobile. And you try fitting a spinning 3D widget or a quirky pop-up game on a 6-inch screen. It's a mess. So stores quite rightly are prioritizing simplicity. The clean lines, big buttons and easy navigation, it makes sense when you've got a small screen to look at, but it has flattened out the creativity. Everyone's designing for the smallest screen first, and that has ironed out the quirks, whether we like it or not. It does remind me actually of a site we once built for an event company. They were totally insistent they wanted an interactive game option that was part of the checkout process. We spent probably months and months planning it before we even moved into coding it, and a few more coding and refining. And it was a huge standout feature of the site, and they promoted it significantly. You could win 10% off an order. It wasn't something to be sniffed at. But it got to the point where people were complaining they didn't want to have to play a game if a discount was up for grabs. So send me a discount code because you're giving them away anyway. And responding to those emails, because this was before people complained on social media, was taking up enough time in the office that the feature lasted 8 months at best. It was a good thing while it lasted, but it's these kind of experiments that people are worried about the impact of these days. Next, you got the rise of templates, platforms like Shopify, WooCommerce, and dare I say it, Wix and GoDaddy. Don't get me wrong, tools are amazing. They've made e-commerce accessible to everyone, which is exactly what WebWings is about. They've also made it far too easy to look like everyone else. Back in the day, when you had to code a site from scratch or hire a developer to do that for you, then you had to make some decisions. And companies making decisions from point dot meant that everything looked a little bit different. Just the way you go into any business that's got their own custom office. Layout will be different. You'll get something with a little bit of the personality of the office and the people that work there imparted into that. Now, you pick a theme, pick a few colours, add some pictures in the carousel at the top, and bam, you're live. It's fast, it's cheap. It's also really predictable. Top Shopify themes are absolutely gorgeous. They are also absolutely everywhere. Same with all the other platforms. It's like every store is wearing the same outfit to the party. And when we get to the data, which is 80% of my life these days, it's very different. 10 years ago, e-commerce still a little bit of a guessing game. The metrics that came along with an e-commerce store back then were very, very different. Brands just threw stuff at the wall and see what stuck. But now we've got analytics coming out of our ears. We can see a heat map. We can see conversion rates hourly. We do A and B testing to see what matters. And guess what? The data says that boring wins. That A and B testing, it'll be over a period of a week, period of a month. It's not going to be at a point where you're trying a new design and being crazy for a while just to see what people might respond to better. We know minimalist designs convert better. Simple checkouts keep people from bouncing, and unique features, well, they might confuse someone and boom, there goes your sale. So brands, especially the big ones, are going to play it safe. And a smaller store doesn't want to have to take a risk to try and compete with those. So why risk a funky layout when the numbers say stick to the grid and you'll do better? The whole reason for me doing this podcast today, and the reason I've been thinking about this for so long, is because it really does get quite interesting when you dig into it a bit more. There's a cost to all the sameness. And it's something we've touched on many times before on this podcast. It's efficient, but it's forgettable. When every site looks like a clone of the next, how are you going to stand out, and how do you build a brand that people remember? Back in the day, whatever day that might be for you, a weird site might have stuck in your head, even if it was a pain to use with some of the features. Now, you probably can't tell the visual difference between half the stores you shopped at this week. They all blur together. They all work in the same way. It's not just me with nostalgia talking. If you look at some of the trends that are popping up lately, there's a little bit of a rebellion brewing. Well, I want to bring it to the fore. Smaller brands are starting to experiment again. We've got more bold typography, and because devices are supporting it now, there's retro vibes coming in. There's interactive storytelling on product pages. We're not back to the chaos of 2010, but there is a nudge back towards personality. And big brands might be comfy blending in, but if you're a smaller seller, it could be a chance to win some of those brownie points of internet wonderfulness. So what's the takeaway for you? If you're listening at home, if you're in office, if you're running an e-commerce store, dreaming of starting one, running any online presence, we're going to do what we ask you to quite regularly and consider how you can inject a little bit of me into this. How can you make it you? It might not be a spinning widget. It might be a quirky product description. It might be a fun thank you page or a colour scheme that isn't just white with a hint of grey or very, very beige. The tools are going to push you towards boring, but you do not have to follow. Stand out even just a little. Your customers might thank you for it. Where we really see people making inroads against their competitors these days is with retargeting. It's those customers that look on a site, they'll decide what they're going to go and research. They're going to think about things a little bit, and they're going to come back in a few days. And those are always good customers because they've made their decision. They're coming to you even when they've thought about it. Those are the kind of customers you really want to capture. Yes, impulse customers, great. But the customers that have made the conscious decision to come back to your business are strong customers, and they can be kept. The problem is, how do you make sure that that customer remembers you? If they're looking at 4 different stores, comparing prices, comparing offerings, comparing whatever it might be, the way you need to stand out is by making sure that they can remember you. And that's never going to happen if you're one of 5 sites that all look the same. I have some absolutely fantastic clients these days, and in previous years, where so many of the sites look the same because that's the trend that they want to associate with their business. And there are trends that really, really work. And it's entirely correct that sometimes you allow your service to be the thing that stands out. That's a great way of doing business. But until you've got the people through the door to allow you to prove that, you're not yet in a position to say that's what makes our business. And I think that's what we need people to be thinking about these days. There's that opportunity to impart the personality, to impart the fact that they are going to be getting that once they come through the door. Once they're a customer of you, you can do that. But not until you've proven to them that you're just a little bit different anyway. The metrics will tell you that when people are on the website, they want to click through in certain ways. Doesn't mean it has to be exactly the same as every single one of your competitors. The colour scheme doesn't have to be the same. People do want to purchase from personalities. People will purchase from personalities, and your business has a personality. Just next time you're thinking of making a change, rather than saying, what do I like elsewhere? Ask yourself the question, what is it about my business that makes me different, and how can I make that the next visual change I put on my website? How can I make it the next change in process I put on my website? And that may just be the thing that people start to really, really love and flock to you for. Okay. That's it for today's slice of e-commerce pie. It's been a little bit different, and I'd love to hear what you think. Not just about the format, not just about the topic, both, everything, anywhere. Is there smart business? Is your business going to be the one that has the next fun idea that might not elevate you to absolute internet nirvana, perfection, but it might just be something that means your customers are going to come back for more? Drop me a message. Talk at webwings.co.uk. Hit us up on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We are Webwings Pod. If you've got a topic you would like me to tackle next, let me know. I am flying solo, but I'm here for you. Andy will be back soon. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.